If you can't hear my voice, kindly draw my attention so that um I'll be notified. First and foremost, I can see a couple of people online. Would like to know from some of us what our expectations are towards this program. In some few minutes, we'll be hearing from our speakers and our guests for the day, but we'd like to know your expectations. What are you expecting to hear, or what are you expecting to learn from this conference? So, if you want to speak, kindly um, alert me so that I can call you so that you can share your expectations with us. I can see Stephen Aqua, I can see Wilbert, Samuel, Salamatu, Moses, Marita, Lydia. Yeah, so please kindly share some few expectations with us. Any expectations? All right, Miss Marita, please, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm already excited to be here tonight. And for my expectation for tonight, I want to learn a new skill that will help me to be a very good leader and to be able to stand in when I'm having an emotional issue. So thank you very much for this program, and I hope my expectation will be met. Thank you, Mr. Della, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Miss Marita. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, Mr. Dela, good evening to you all.
Evening.
Good evening to you all. Thank you to Youth Africa and all our speakers for being on board. At the end of the program, I want to understand how emotional intelligence and personal development go hand in hand to achieve a great success in one's career. So that's my expectation. All the best.
Awesome, Mr. Wilbert. I hope your expectations will be met. Please, who else want to have want to hear a lady's voice? Okay, we've heard a lady's voice, and to please, who else? All right, so basically, we all want to um be able to get some insights as to how we are going to shape our leadership skills and how to balance emotional intelligence as well. So, without much ado, um, I would like to kickstart the program. Good evening once again to everyone. I want to welcome you to our Leadership and Emotional Intelligence Conference. We'll explore critical roles of emotional intelligence in effective leadership, and we'll discuss how to build resilient emotional intelligence and mental health for our personal and professional growth, and how it can transform our leadership styles and organizational cultures. I'm excited to see you all here, eager to learn and grow. Over the next couple of hours, we are going to engage in thought-provoking discussions, share experiences, and gain practical insights to enhance our leadership capabilities. Let's embark on this journey together, where we foster a deeper understanding of emotional intelligence and its impact on our personal and professional lives. Thank you very much. We'll have our open prayer by Mr. Wilbert. Mr. Wilbert, if you're on the line, kindly help us with an open prayer so we can kickstart. Thank you.
All right, let's have a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for this evening and an opportunity to gather on this virtual platform to learn and deepen our knowledge. As we begin to discuss this very important topic, we pray that you guide us for a successful event. And at the end of the day, whatever will be discussed here will be put into practice for a resilient emotional intelligence and mental health that will help in the long run. Thank you for an answered prayer. Jesus name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mr. Wilbe. Um, Once again, I want to welcome you all again to this conference. And we will not be here without acknowledging Yield Africa, on whose shoulders we are riding on now. And so we'll have a brief profile about Yield Africa. We would like to let our audience know what Yield Africa stands for, what Yield Africa is about. So without much ado, I will briefly share a profile of Yield Africa. And I want to remind you all that our conference is being streamed live on YouTube. So if you you can easily access your YouTube, kindly access and subscribe to our channel, Yield Africa, Youth in Leadership Transformation Africa. Thank you very much. All right. Profile of Yield Africa. Good day, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. It's our pleasure to welcome you to the Leadership and Emotional Intelligence Conference 2025. Before we delve into the substance of the conference, permit me to briefly share with you about Yield Africa. Yield Africa is a non-profit youth-focused leadership development center empowering emerging leaders to address critical national issues through innovation and technology for sustainable development. The organization aligns with SDGs 4, 8, 9, 13, 16, and 17, focusing on quality education, decent work, and economic growth, innovation and infrastructure, climate action, peace, justice, and strong institutions and partnerships, respectively. Among to attain substantial achievements by 2032. Aligned with our values, the organization operates under the umbrella initiative, Building Resilient Youth. This initiative tackles major issues including youth inclusion, in nation building, effective leadership development, innovation and technology, good governance, peace and security, economic empowerment, youth integration, idea incubation, and skill building. Since 2021, Yield Africa has achieved significant milestones. It has raised emerging leaders, nurtured young talents and entrepreneurs, and reignited a sense of nationalism and patriotism. Through our 1 Million Youth for Jobs program, the organization has launched various impactful initiatives, including the High School Graduates Bootcamp, under which 10 students were awarded scholarships to study at Doxa Open University, and landmark events such as the National Youth Leaders Dialogue Symposium on Youth, Peace and Security, the Pan-African Conference, Building Resilient Youth Conference, the Youth Spotlight, the Youth Decides, and the role of students in national development. In 2024, Yield Africa played a crucial role in Ghana's political history by convening the National Unity and Peace Symposium, an event that brought together major stakeholders, including presidential candidates, political leaders, religious and traditional leaders, and state agencies to foster national unity and cohesion. Under the auspices of the executive director, Yield Africa has currently expanded its presence to 5 African countries, namely Ghana, Kenya, Sierra Leone, Uganda, and Egypt, as well as regional and campus chapters. As Youth Africa continues to build on these successes, it stands as a beacon of hope and a powerful agent of change for Africa's youth, paving the way for a brighter and more inclusive future. Join us in creating a lasting impact. Partner with Youth Africa, support our initiatives, or become a volunteer to drive sustainable development. Together, we can make a difference. If you also want to donate and support our programs, initiatives, and advocacies, kindly reach us via WhatsApp at 020-1111-054 or by email at youthafrica@gmail.com. Thank you. So this is basically a little brief profile about Youth Africa, the fastest growing youth-oriented programs in the African countries. All right. In this gathering, we have knowledgeable and insightful guest speakers all the way from far and near who are going to share their insights and educate us on the subject we are about looking at. So without much ado, one of our guest speakers or one of our speakers who will be sharing their insights with us today is no other person than our own executive director. In fact, a very noble man, yet insightful and very diligent, resilient, and very, very, very articulate, who is in the person of Mr. Prosper Evergreen, the CEO and Executive Director for Youth Africa. And also in this gathering, we also have Miss Bosede Christiana Oyalakin. Please pardon me if I didn't mention the name well. Yeah, so she will also be sharing insights on the topic. We also have Madam Dr. Mrs. Josephine Stiles Darko, who will also be sharing the insights with us today. And myself, I'm the moderator for the day in the person of Mr. Dela Lidovia. I also work under the Directorate of Youth Africa as an Education, Society, and Welfare Director. Thank you very much. And we want to welcome you once again to this noble gathering. Okay, fast forward. We would like to hear from our first speaker in the person of Mr. Prosper Evergreen, our executive director. Okay, Mr. Prosper, please put your mute just now. Thank you.
All right, good evening. Please, I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, please.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right, okay, that's fine. All right, once again, I want to seize the opportunity to thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedules to join us this insightful event. I want to acknowledge our beloved guest speakers, Mrs. Christina Bosede and Madam Dr. Styles Josephine Darko. It's a privilege having you.
Hello, Mr. Prosper. Hello, Mr. Prosper.
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was having an echo, so I had to fix it.
All right.
All right, so I was
I think Mr. Prosper is having some technical challenges reaching out.
please, can you hear me?
No, please, we can't hear you. I don't know
Is
if
it is it okay now?
yes, it's okay.
Okay. All right. I think I've said much, but because of the challenges, you are not able to hear some of them. But I wouldn't want to be repeating myself, so I'll proceed. I've had the feedback from the media assistants that some are having the challenges joining us, but we hope that as we zoom in, they're going to fix any challenges so that they also join us to share in the knowledge that we are about to receive. I'm going to talk briefly about leadership so that I'll give a span time for our guest speakers to dive deeper into the conversations of emotional intelligence and mental health. I am focusing on leadership. And if I ask you about the definition of leadership, quite a number of you have different definitions, make different references. But there is one thing I have come to understand about leadership that I want to share with you. I have the books, the leadership books that I have come across, about 10 and several of them have something in common. About 98% of the leadership books I have come across says that leaders are not born, but they are made. And if I throw this question to you as a debate, some of you will stand for the fact that leaders are born. Some of you also stand for the fact that leaders are made. But what I have come to understand is that all men are born leaders, but only great leaders are made. All men are born leaders, but only great leaders are made. Someone will ask, how do I become a leader? And how do I transcend from being an ordinary leader to becoming a great leader? It is very simple. One, you must understand that naturally, God gave men the ability to lead. That is why when we were a kid, when we are going to school, either with our friends, our little brothers and sisters, we try to hold their hands to cross the road. We try to guide them to make sure that we either get to the school or we either get home successfully. That is to say that God gave man the ability to lead naturally. And that is a basic form of leadership. Men are born leaders because we have that intrinsic appetite to lead people. Wherever that we find ourselves, we want to, play some kind of leadership role. We see this natural attribute in our parents, in our senior brothers, our senior sisters, our teachers, and all. All those people perform some sort of leadership activities. We come to our politicians. We crave to go into politics because we feel that we have what it takes to lead. We go for LSRC positions because we feel we can lead. We go for community leadership positions because we feel that we can lead. That is not to say that once you have the urge to lead, you have the natural feeling to lead or the natural attribute to lead, you are a great leader. You are performing leadership at the natural and at the basic level. Now, most of the people who have one way or the other lead have either failed woefully or succeeded. So I have a saying that I do say that many came to lead, few are remembered, and the fewer are celebrated. When you come from our political history or our national development history, you see that from time to time, from revolution to democracy, leaders have emerged. But why is it that when we are remembering leadership, we remember only few of these people who came to lead, but not all of the people who came to occupy seats? It is because they cling to the natural ability of leadership and they did not avail themselves to become great leaders. So, to cut my message short, I want to say that if you are aspiring to be a leader, or whether you are an emerging leader, or you wish to become a leader, but you think it is a rocket science, no, it is not a rocket science. It is an ability that is naturally inside of you. But it is one thing to be a leader, to be born a leader, and it's another thing to be built or to be made as a leader. So what you should be looking out for is how to become an extraordinary leader so that you can be distinct from the 99% of the people who have assumed leadership positions. There are many ways I wish to teach you about how to becoming a great leader, but because we have limited time, I will squeeze myself to the little thing that I have said now. And if you want to learn more about leadership and how to become a great one, of course, I have my upcoming book that I would want to share the topic with you that I call The Damp Leader. It teaches how everyone can lead, even at the lowest bottom, to become one of the greatest leaders you can ever think of becoming. How to negotiate, how to lead as a student leader, an emerging leader, a diplomat, and what have you. So to bring my message to close, I would want to say that leaders are naturally born, but only great leaders are made. And don't stick yourself to be a naturally born leader, but become a great leader who becomes intentional about developing yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prosper, for that insight on leadership. Please, I want to admonish that Our conference is streamed live on YouTube. So we if you're on YouTube, kindly subscribe to our channel for more updates. Leaders are born, but leaders are not born, but they are made. Awesome. That's a great exposition from our director, Mr. Prosper Evergreen. And please, if you have any questions and any contributions, I will admonish that you pen them down so that if we open the podium or we open the floor to receive questions for our guest speakers, that opportunity will be given to you. All right. So we'll move on to our next speaker, who is in the person of Miss Bosede Christiana Oyalakin. Miss Christiana is a mental health therapist, child and adolescent counselor, an author with over 13 years of experience supporting children, youth, and adults through emotional and mental health challenges. She's a certified CBT and DBT therapist, a licensed professional counselor with ACMPN, and a professional member of CCPA and NACBT USA. Ms. Bosede is the author of Shattered Mirrors and Adventures in Happy Minds, inspiring conversations on healing, mental wellness, and emotional well-being, and the podcast co-host to the Behavior Blueprint series on LinkedIn. Family, please help me welcome Miss Bosede Christiana Oyalaki. Miss Christiana, please, the podium is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. So good evening, everyone. It could be afternoon, wherever you're watching me from. First, I would like to appreciate the organizers of this conference. It's a beautiful initiative and it's amazing to be here. So I'm trying to share my screen. Just give me about 30 seconds to a minute. Okay. If you can see my screen, just give me a thumbs up. Yep. So just give me a thumbs up, or a high five, or your preferred emoji, whichever one is convenient for you. Can you all see my screen? Please give me a thumbs up. Give me, high five if you can see my screen. So today I'm talking about the topic building resilience and emotional intelligence for personal and professional growth. And thank you to the moderator for introducing me as well. A brief introduction of myself. My name is Bosede Christiana Oyalaki. I'm the founder and the executive director of My Onboarding Hub. It's an organization that is dedicated to promoting mental wellness, emotional growth, and resilience. And this has been born from my experience as an individual, my experience working with individuals and group of persons. I've had the privilege of working with individuals, working on themes, working with organizations to help people, to partner with people when it comes to healthy emotional habits and building coping mechanisms, positive coping mechanisms. I would always lay emphasis on that. So I am speaking about how we can build resilient emotional intelligence for our personal growth and our professional growth, as that is very important in any level of life or any spheres of life that we find ourselves. So quickly, Let's look at what emotional intelligence in itself means. Emotional intelligence is popularly called IQ. Some persons, call it EQ. It is the ability for you to recognize and understand. There is a difference between you recognizing certain traits, abilities, or challenges that may be occurring in your life at a point in time. There is also a difference between recognition and coming to the place of understanding. So some persons know that they have emotions, just as humans, we all have emotions. Some persons have not come to that place where they can understand how their emotions impact them and helps them to function better in life, or how they can leverage on their emotions to function better in life. And that is why we are here today. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is the ability for you to recognize, to understand, and manage your influence, your emotions in your life and the impact on others. So EQ is not just, well, maybe I'm someone that, gets angry easily. I'm just using this as an example. That is not who I am. No way. Or maybe I am someone that I do not know how to relate with others. Maybe I'm someone that have social anxiety. That is not just what emotional intelligence is all about. It is you understanding the impact and the influence your emotions or your emotional patterns has on others. You are in the position of leadership, for example. You know that you are in the sphere of influence. So whatever it is that you do or you do not do can impact the team that you are leading or the people that are following you. Let's say you are a team lead, for example. What kind of atmosphere do you create when you walk into the office? What kind of atmosphere do you create where you are on a team, you are leading a project, you are guiding people when it comes to achieving a goal or the vision of an organization? Let me bring it down to our personal life. You are in the position of leadership. You're a parent, for example, like I am. You are leading your children and your immediate family. So what kind of atmosphere do you create in that environment? Because the atmosphere you create is very key and important. It is a prototype that you are laying down for your followers, which could be your children, the people on your team, that sphere of influence or control that you have. It could even be your friends, for example. So it is very important to understand what emotional intelligence means and to also learn it, because it influences our relationships, it influences our decisions. So it's not just about the relationships that we have or we're willing to build and to keep. It also influences how we think, the choices that we make, how we follow through when we set goals. This is September 2025. So we're tilting towards December now. Once it is December, people will want to say New Year goals for 2026. In 2026, from January to March, this is what I want to do. These are the targets that I want to hit. These are the goals that I want to achieve. It is good and okay to say all of those things. But if you are not emotionally intelligent, you will find out that consciously or unconsciously, you will make decisions that can move you far away from those goals, or you will make decisions that can lead you to those goals. Take, for example, you say, well, between January and July, I want to read 5 books on leadership and emotional intelligence. And by December 2025, you have not made a list of the books, the particular books that you want to read. Take, for example, you don't even have any specific book in mind. Do you have authors in mind? What kind of genre, are you looking for? Are you looking at authors that are leaders in the career world, authors that are leaders when it comes to spiritual growth, authors that are leaders when it comes to your niche? My niche, for example, as a mental health therapist. So you have to put all of this into consideration. Saying it in itself is not enough. And that is what emotional intelligence will help you achieve. Again, emotional intelligence brings you to that place where you are self-aware. You know that, yes, I'm human, I'm male or female, I'm adult. Is that all you know about yourself? Self-awareness has to do with your emotions, emotional regulations, your drive, your purpose, your inspiration, what brings you fulfillment is, it's a compact and a a complex concept in itself. If you understand all of this and you put it together, you are moving towards becoming emotionally intelligent. So when you put emotional intelligence, when you put self-awareness, when you put self-regulation, and you fuse all of this together, when it comes to achieving personal growth and professional growth, it will be much more easier for you because you have the square pegs in the round hole that would make your goals and your dreams achievable and will make you hit them faster. Now, moving on, let's look at how to build resilient emotional intelligence. So you are not just emotionally intelligent in 2025, and when it is 2026, you drop the ball. The first thing is you building resilience. That is the capacity and the ability for you to recover from setback. So take, for example, you are working on a project and at a point in time, you get stuck in that project. You have given yourself a timeline of 6 months. You get stuck in that project and let's say 3 months into the project, you experience that challenge. So what do you do at that point in time? Do you let go? Do you lay back? Do you revisit the strategies that you have put in place in order to achieve the project? Or do you follow through to say, once I achieve this project, I am done with it and I am no longer moving on? Resilience is the ability for you to bounce back whenever you experience any form of challenges in life. Some persons could face, financial downtimes. Some persons face emotional, downtimes. Some persons face, personal downtimes. Some persons face downtimes when it comes to their career. Whatever it is that you do, the way the human brain, the way it functions, whatever it is that you do, every point in time where you are challenged, your brain builds, we call it neurological pathways, where it begins to store information on how to address situations in life. So if you're faced with a challenge or you're faced with challenges and automatically, or the ideal thing you will do is to back out or to, hands down and say, I will do this thing later. Or let me just put this aside. I will revisit it later. What you will do is you're training your brain on how to face future and positive challenges. Emotional intelligence makes you resilient and it makes you stronger. First off, you should stay calm under pressure. Someone is asking me a question, how do I do that? How do I achieve calmness under pressure? When you achieve calmness under pressure, you bring about a lot of chemical reactions and then, hormonal interactions in the brain. You are engaging your brain to use your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain which is right on the forehead where I'm touching at the moment, that helps you engage in critical thinking. So there is difference between you thinking and thinking critically. If you act at the moment or in the spur of the moment, you will do what your emotions just want you to do. But if you give yourself time by staying calm under pressure, you will think about the consequences, either positive consequences or negative consequences of the things that you want to do. Again, emotional intelligence will help you to reframe challenges as opportunities. So you meet a roadblock. Now you have stayed calm under that pressure. You are not acting in the spur of the moment. You're taking your time to address the situation. When you begin to view that situation, you will, because you are calm or you have given yourself time to engage this part of your brain, which is your prefrontal cortex, your brain will begin to help you reframe those challenges by pulling out opportunities. You would even see possibly the decisions or the choices that you have made that were wrong, that led you to that place. Again, what emotional intelligence will now lead you to do is build supportive connections. How do you build supportive connections? Maybe finding like minds that could help you on the project, maybe seeking for professional help. Let's say it has to do with your career development. Maybe you prepared for an exam, you wrote that exam and you failed. So you're sad, you're unhappy, you're asking yourself questions, why did I fail? What happened? What went wrong? because you have taken this first 2 steps, which is to calm down, to reframe your challenges, now you begin to ask yourself, maybe the strategy that I use in studying for that exam is not achievable. Is achievable the word? Is not futuristic, or is not goal-oriented, or is not positive. Maybe I need to, engage for a quick training, a crash training, someone that has done that exam before and is providing support to others that want to do the exam. But if you react in the spur of the moment, maybe when you saw your results, the first thing that may come to your mind is, maybe I'm a failure, I will not take this exam again, or let me put this exam on hold, let me put it on pause for a while. Maybe I can't even pass this exam. Those kind of thoughts that we call intrusive negative thoughts that goes on in our mind. Okay, moving on, let's look at emotional intelligence and professional growth. So how do we pair emotional intelligence and professional growth? Or what is even the impact of emotional intelligence and professional growth? Leaders who have emotional intelligence are able to wield trust and collaboration. When you have a leader in your space that knows how to explore emotional intelligence, they are self-aware, they are empathic, they understand how their emotions work, they're able to leverage on their emotions, they don't act in the spur of the moment. When you have someone who has been able to build EQ over time, you will see that this individual will build trust and collaboration from others. People will always want to be around them. People will always want to work with them, because when they are communicating, they are not just communicating knowledge. So knowledge in itself, skills in itself, they are good, they are okay when it comes to professional growth, but it is not enough when it comes to professional growth in the space of leadership. So an individual who has emotional intelligence, who has EQ, can wield the trust of others. When they give people tasks and assignments, when they place responsibility in the hand of others, they can earn the trust of people to carry out those goals, to carry out those tasks. Again, EI or EQ enhances decision-making and conflict resolution. A leader that is emotionally intelligent in the professional space has the ability to mediate between individuals. Of course, you will not see that person as a leader turning the minds of people against each other. You will not see that person as a leader causing confusion. You will not see that person as a leader subjecting one member of the team or 2 members of the team to a toxic environment. You will see that that person has the ability to resolve conflicts between people. So let's say, for example, you're on a team, you are not even the team lead, you're on a team of 5, and you have been given an assignment, you have a project to work on, you have a timeline for 3 months. 1 or 2 persons in your group, they are not forthcoming. They are not engaging. Maybe when you call for meetings, they either come very late, come towards the end of the meeting, they do not participate. For someone who is emotionally intelligent, or let me start from the place of someone who is not emotionally intelligent, the ideal thing for you as human is to be upset and angry that this person is on your team, but they are not contributing, either making contributions when it comes to sharing ideas, or saying, oh, I'm just going to take notes, I'm going to prepare the document that we need for this project so we can know how to move on or move forward. The ideal thing for someone that is not emotionally intelligent is maybe to call that person out, or say mean things to them at some point in time if that attitude continues and they do not change. But for someone that is emotionally intelligent, is to critically think about one or many reasons why this person has not been active in the group, call them and have a one-on-one conversation to understand what is going on. Maybe they don't even want to be there in the first place. Maybe they are going through a personal challenge that has filtered into their professional life. Then ask all of these questions and do not assume, and then bring back the main issue to the team and see how it can be resolved, well, with the permission of the other person. Again, emotional intelligence would help anyone in the professional space to prevent burnout. You will know what to take on and what to let go. I know that this is the era of social media. We want to put what we are doing out there in the space. We want everyone to know, what we're doing. We want everyone to share in our ideas and in our talent. But emotional intelligence, or a leader that is emotionally intelligent, knows when to prevent burnout. Burnout could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be psychological. I think we mentioned this in my podcast. That we had yesterday, the episode that we treated on the podcast yesterday. When someone is physically burnt out, you will see them presenting, physical symptoms such as headache, migraine. They could be sick. They may not be able to walk and do the things that they would normally do. When someone is presenting signs and symptoms of emotional burnout, that is not physical. We can't see it, but it's a psychological issue. You will see that that person will have little to no concentration at work. They could be making mistakes. A lot of things could be going wrong when it comes to their career. But someone that is emotionally intelligent, when you are moving towards the face of burnout, you will know. And you know that at that point in time, you need to slow down. Either you take an excuse, take some time, off work, or if you know that, yes, it's impossible to take some time off work. I don't even think it should be impossible to take some time off work, because everyone is entitled to annual leave. If you are if you are an employee in the corporate world, you are entitled to some days or some weeks of annual leave. So when you know that you're getting to that point where you are emotionally burnt out, you should take that time off in order to rejuvenate. So you are taking that time off not to go and do something else that will strain you or stress you mentally. You are taking that time off, eat, sleep, wake up, engage in mindfulness and relaxation, habits. You could listen to podcasts, listen to music, take a walk, in nature, sit in the park and just observe the natural things that are around you. Now, moving on, let's look at emotional intelligence and personal growth. We want to tie emotional intelligence to personal growth. When you are self-aware, you are clear on your values and strengths. When you are self-aware, there are certain things that you will not do. You will not do them, not because those things are not good in itself. No, it's not because those things are not presentable in itself. It's because they do not serve you. For example, one of my mantra in life is fulfillment. If I have something, maybe something, that I'm introduced to, or something that just catches my interest, and I want to have more understanding of it, and I begin to make research. If that thing will not bring me fulfillment, which is one of my mantra in life, one of my values in life, and every other thing that I value in life, I will let it go, no matter how desirable it looks. So if you are not self-aware, which is an element of emotional intelligence, then anything goes. You will be everything, anything, doing everything. So you need to, understand what your values are, what your strengths are. One of my strengths is speaking to people. I have a background in teaching, so to say, yes. I used to be a school teacher and then moved to a school counselor, and I'm here now as a mental therapist. So one of my values, one of my strengths is speaking. And I'm posing a question to everyone listening to me today. What are your strengths? What are your values? Can you write? Do you know how to articulate your thoughts when it comes to putting them down? Are you a creative, when it comes to artistic work? All of these things, they are little elements that you put together to building emotional intelligence. Another element of emotional intelligence that we can tie to personal growth is better understanding emotional balance. And what is emotional balance? There is a wheel that we call the circle of emotions. Please let me know how many minutes I have left. There is a wheel that we call, the circle of emotions, where we have primary emotions, we have secondary emotions, and you could use this as a guide pointing you to the emotional patterns that you express daily. Are you the type that, every time that you wake up, you're always angry? Some people are like that. They're always angry. No matter what is happening in life. It's Christmas time, everyone is happy. They're always angry. So you need to understand why your emotional will is in that corner, in that sphere. What has led you there? Why are you still there? The question you should ask yourself is, how can I be better? Or what can I do to be better? When you ask this question, it will improve your mental health. It will impact your personal growth. And of course, it will impact your professional growth as well, because there is no professional growth in itself without personal growth. Another element of emotional intelligence that we can tie to personal growth is having a growth mindset. Nobody knows it all. Nobody will ever know it all. Everyone just has a specialty that they are well grounded in. But we want to know a little bit of here, a little bit of there, so that we can also relate and interact with others and have a connection. So if you do not have a growth mindset, you may not be able to achieve emotional intelligence. Because have you had an experience where you entered a room, or you entered a corner where you have people gathered, and you can just sense that something is wrong? There's an aura, there's an atmosphere in that place. It could be that those people are not in sync with each other. Maybe an argument has just happened, and you can also enter a place and you can sense the aura that this place is lively, this place is bubbling, in quotes, this place is expressive. There is an element of happiness in this place. Now, how do you tie this growth mindset to emotional intelligence, rather, to personal growth? It turns failure into lessons. So when you take a step, like I mentioned earlier on, you sit for an exam, you failed. If you just conclude that, okay, this exam maybe is not for me, maybe I'm not ready at the moment, that there could be an iota of truth in that. You are not ready at the moment. So what can you do in order to be ready, maybe 6 months from now, 1 year from now? Or will you just let that go? Finally, emotional intelligence, or an element of emotional intelligence, is to build stronger relationships. We will be able to connect with people on a deeper level if we are emotionally intelligent. Some persons have been working on teams or working with teams for as long as they can remember, and there is no connection between them and their team member, or between that person as a leader and their team members, or between teammates. That deep connection, or that deeper connection, is not there. And I'm not talking about you knowing the entire history of that individual. Again, not everyone wants to divulge their entire history in a workplace. But do you have that sync where the way you're reasoning to a larger percentage is the same way that individual is reasoning? Or you can sense when your team, your friends, your loved ones, when they are burnt out, you can sense when something is wrong. Not only that, you can sense when something is wrong, you can also come around in the place where you make them feel comfortable at that moment and not feel like they are the problem when something is wrong with them. So that is what emotional intelligence is all about when you tie it to personal growth. So what are practical tools that we can use to build emotional intelligence? Because it's not rocket science. And apologies to the scientists, I'm not saying rocket science is that simple. No.
Madam Christiana,
Yes, I'm here.
please, can you be wrapping us up for us?
Okay, thank you. So what are the practical tools for building emotional intelligence and resilience? I've mentioned self-awareness. You need to understand yourself, and this has to do with your personality type. That is a topic for another day. Who are you when it comes to your personality type? We have the common personality type, which is the melancholy, the choleric, the phlegmatic. How does this impact you and the relationships that you have and your professional growth? I would recommend daily reflection, self-reflection, and journaling. How does self-reflection happen? Have a seat at your leisure time when your mind is free, not when you're at work and then you are thinking of doing work. No, when you are free, it could be at the close of work, it could be at the end of the week, or at the end of a week, let's say a work week, on a Friday, on a Saturday. Have a quiet time where you just sit and think about how your week has been. You can begin by picking a scenario that happened, something that stood out for you that week. It does not have to be positive or negative. It could be a neutral experience. Go over around it and see how you reacted to it, what you thought about what somebody said, what inspired you to make contributions if you did in that scenario. That is one of the simple steps to begin self-reflection. When you reflect, you think about your experiences and what inspired you to act in those situations, what inspired you to speak in those situations. It will help you understand your emotions better. And you can see on my slide the other practical tools. I won't be able to go into it. We have mindfulness practices, active listening, not listening to respond in conversations. And then I'll just skip that. So in closing, I want to appreciate the organizers. Thank you for having me and my onboarding hub. Finally, I will leave this quote with us. Resilience is not about you avoiding the storm or avoiding that challenge. Resilience is about you learning how to dance in the rain. And how do you dance in the rain? You embrace that challenge, you embrace the issue, you embrace the circumstances, and you use it as a stepping stone to become a better person. So I would like to hear our thoughts. Feel free to drop your questions, drop your feedback as well, either in the comment section or send it to me personally, or send it to our moderator as well. So thank you for having me. If you also want to connect with us at My Onboarding Hub further, that is our number on the screen. It is 09035 957871. I'll take it again. 09035 957871. And you can connect with us on our website. It is myonboardinghub.org. myonboardinghub.org. Thank you so much for listening.
Wow, 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 wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. In fact, this is too detailed and so, I mean, in depth. If I don't even know the word to describe it. I believe most of us have so many questions to give to Madam Christiana. But please put your questions down, and after we have our last speaker, I'm sure she will be ready to address all of them for us. And Madam Christiana, I hope your slides will be available to all of us so that we can also have, I mean, we can read through to know our status.
You pay for it. That's on a lighter note. Yes, I could make it available. No worries.
All right. Thank you very, very much. We are so grateful. Okay. So in the next 30 minutes, we'll be hearing from our second speaker. Briefly, I would like to introduce her as well. Our third speaker is in the person of Dr. Mrs. Josephine Styles Darkon. Dr. Josephine Styles Darkon is a specialist psychiatrist, Department of Psychiatry, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, a member of both the West African and Ghana Colleges of Physicians, currently pursuing her fellowship in both colleges. She has a certificate for leadership and management in health from the University of Washington. She is the deputy head of communications at the Mental Health Authority, a part-time lecturer at both the University of Ghana Medical School and the Family Health Medical School. She has been involved in several community mental health engagement programs, media engagement, and mental health training programs for students, corporate bodies, juvenile offenders, prison officers, churches, and media persons. She's a passionate mental health advocate interested in public education, community inclusion, and support for persons with mental illness. Family, help me welcome Dr. Mrs. Josephine Styles Darko. Doc, please, the podium is yours now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And thanks for having me. I am sharing my slides. May I know if the slides are visible or what you're seeing?
Yes, please. Slides are visible.
All right. Okay, just a second. Okay, I'm not sure what is happening on my end. Anyways. Can you still see my slides?
No, please. It's gone off.
Okay. Okay, is it back now?
Yes, it's back now.
All right. Thank you very much. So I must say that it's an honor to be here to share on mental health and emotional intelligence. And I must say that I am grateful to be the last speaker, because the two that came before me have done a really great job, and it makes my work quite easy. So I am going to talk about mental health. This is going to be the outline that we are going to use for this evening. We have received a wealth of information on emotional intelligence, and I'm going to try and help you understand how being emotionally intelligent can help with your mental health and wellness. So when we are talking about mental health, we are talking about a state in which an individual is, a state in which you can achieve your potential, you can contribute meaningfully to your society, manage the stresses that come with life, and then be able to function optimally throughout the different stages of life. With that being said, once there is health, then the opposite is illness. So we have mental illness, which is a condition that affects how we think, how we feel, how we behave, or a combination of these. And that comes with a lot of distress to the individual going through the illness, and then also affects their functioning. So what we are looking for is mental health. What we want everybody to experience is mental well-being. So why at all are we bringing mental health into this conversation of leadership and emotional intelligence? It is because mental health issues are very, very common, especially among the youth. So mental illnesses, most of them will start in the adolescent period, in the early adulthood period, okay? And when it comes to things like self-harm, suicidal behaviors, again, it is very common amongst this age group. So it is important that we talk about our mental health. We look at the things that can help us prevent mental illnesses, prevent mental health challenges, build resilience, like Madam Christiana has spoken about. Okay, all right. And then also, it is important for us to know that should anyone experience mental illness, there is help available, and the person can still get back to their lives, and then still be able to make some meaningful contribution, like we have said. So sometimes people wonder what at all causes mental illness. And in our parts of the world, most of the time, there's a lot of talk about spirituality and all that. But there are a lot of factors that come into play. A person's biological makeup can have an influence on whether or not they are going to experience a mental illness. Okay, so your brain chemistry, family history. Is there somebody in your family that has had depression, anxiety, any other kind of mental illness before? Then the risk is there. There are psychological factors, so our life experiences, okay, trauma, things that people go through in childhood, in their work life, in their marriages, all these things can contribute to your mental wellness or mental illness. And then we have the other factors like the social factors, things that we do in our life. So things like abusing substances like alcohol, cannabis, tramol, and all that we've been hearing about in the news nowadays. So moving on, these are a bit more of the contributing factors that I have mentioned. I don't think I need to dwell on this, but because this is a youth group, let me also emphasize on the social media influence, because sometimes, again, that is something that we tend to underestimate, but it can also significantly contribute to somebody's mental health issues. So it's another thing that we have to be mindful of. So moving on quickly, what are some of the common mental health issues that we have to think about, try to deal with, and prevent? So the big one is stress, and it has been mentioned in the previous submission. So when we talk about stress, this is a normal response. It's a natural response that we all go through when we are faced with a particular challenge or a change that is a bit unpleasant. And it can come with all sorts of feelings, physical symptoms, like Madam Christiana mentioned, the headaches, the migraines, the stomach aches, body pains, and all that. But aside that, the psychological aspect of it, which is the snapping easily, getting angry, shouting at people, and displacing anger here and there, they are all related to stress. Okay, so that is the behavioral response that comes with stress. And this is something that we have to be mindful of, because stress is not something that we can avoid, but just as has been elaborated, we can build or learn coping mechanisms that can help us to be able to withstand stress, manage it effectively, and be able to thrive even in the face of stress. Because as leaders, as family people, as people in relationships, stress is going to come our way. For the Christians, even Jesus Christ, the Bible says, at a point he got so stressed that he ended up sweating blood. Okay, so this is something that we can't avoid, but it is helpful for us to have skills to be able to deal with. The next one is anxiety and depression. So when it comes to mental illness, the commonest ones that we usually see are the anxiety disorders and then depression. Okay, so these are mood disorders or disorders of the emotion. And these are things that usually can affect a lot of people, especially in their youth. Okay, so just as Madam Christiana was talking about emotional intelligence, if you are a leader and you lack emotional intelligence, what you're going to be doing is going to be causing a cascade of events that may lead to either you yourself or someone within your team ending up with a mental health challenge. Okay, so for example, a boss comes to work every day on edge. So the slightest question you ask the person, they snap. And then they say something mean, something terrible to you. And then you also become stressed, become frustrated. So the next colleague that meets you on the corridor and says, what is it? Or asks you, where is this file? You also snap. And that person also gets angry, moves on to the next office. And then that emotional negativity keeps going on and on. So imagine being in a workplace, a home, or an environment where these kind of things happen on a daily basis. Definitely somebody is going to break down at some point. And I believe that is why this conference is important, so that we can avoid some of these things. Substance abuse, that is a big topic in the news nowadays. All over Africa, people are resorting to substances to help them to cope with stress, to help them to work more, to help them to overcome anxiety and things like that. And that is causing a big problem, not just for society, but for the individual's own health and mental health as well, okay? And then the other one, we have the self-harm and the suicidal behaviors. I have already mentioned that it is very common among the youth, and largely because most people haven't developed that resilience to be able to stand the pressures. So when the pressure comes, people get a bit impulsive. Some people are unable to withstand, and then they end up self-harming or indulging in some of these suicidal behaviors. So what are some of the signs and symptoms? What can show that somebody is going downhill or somebody's mental health has taken a hit? Okay, so we may have things like changes in sleep and eating. These are things that usually we don't really bother about. But when these changes become very persistent, then there may be a problem. The person starts withdrawing, so they don't want to mingle, they don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to be left alone all the time, okay? Lack of motivation. So you have a plan, you have something you want to achieve, and now you don't even feel that motivation to do the things that you previously loved doing. Energy levels are low, you feel tired all the time. No matter how long you sleep for, you feel tired. And then that sense of helplessness and hopelessness, there's nothing that can be done to help you. I'm not worth anything. And you begin to think that there's no value on your life, or the person begins to have such feelings. And sometimes people just become emotionally numb. You don't feel anything. You are just there. Whatever wants to happen should happen, more or less, okay? Getting angry easily, becoming irritable, snapping at everybody for no reason, having severe mood swings. This person is laughing with you in the break room, then you just get to the desk and this person is a totally different person, and this happens consistently. Or someone having thoughts of harming themselves, thinking that it's better if they were dead than alive. So if someone is going through this, or anyone listening to me is going through these symptoms, this can be an indication that you are going through some form of mental distress, and may even have a mental illness that needs to be diagnosed and treated. When it's getting severe, some people may begin to have what we call hallucinations, delusions, and that is the hearing of voices that are not there, seeing things that are not really there, believing certain things. So people want to harm me, people want to kill me, when in actual sense, nothing like that is going on, or feeling that they are being monitored. So the cameras in the office, they are in the car, and they think that everybody is out to get them. More or less, okay? And then sometimes when people begin to indulge in certain behaviors, so somebody never used to drink alcohol, all of a sudden they've started drinking alcohol. There must be something going on, or they've started using certain substances. Sometimes that is the cry for help, trying to solve their problem. And what we'll look at some of the negative coping strategies that people employ. So what are the consequences if we don't put things in place? We don't build the resilience we are talking about. We don't achieve emotional intelligence, and then mental illness goes untreated. The consequences can be both to the person who is having the challenge and then everybody else around. So the entire society suffers. The family will suffer, the church will suffer, the workplace would suffer. Because imagine if you have an employee that is not productive, a team member that is not contributing much, or even making everybody's work very difficult because they can't do theirs so that you can move on and do yours. So it has a lot of consequences. And very quickly, we will look at what are some of the things that we can do. Most of these things on this slide, I know that we all know it. we've heard over and over and over again, medical personnel saying exercise, eat healthy, more fruits, more vegetables, you have to sleep adequately. And we know that as leaders and young minds trying to make a difference, sometimes these things, we lose focus and we lose sight of these things because we are looking at the big picture. We want to hit that target. We want to make that mark. But these are the little things that can help protect our mental well-being. Okay, take time to relax. Now it's how do you call it? Multiple streams of income. So you take your leave, you're at another job, you are doing freelance, you are doing a remote job, you are doing something else. And then you return to work, everybody says, oh, you're back from leave, you must be refreshed, but you're more tired than you left. So it is important that we take some time to relax and re-strategize, be able to move forward better. Okay, setting goals and priorities. So these are some of the things that Madam Christiana mentioned in being able to build resilience, being able to cope with the things that we encounter. So if you've had a challenge before, how did you solve it? Because next time when a similar challenge comes your way, you should be able to employ what worked the last time, and you know that most likely this will work. And in so doing, you will not be so frustrated to the point where you lose hope and then start having certain ideas. Sometimes people start having suicidal ideas and things when they become very, very frustrated. Okay, staying connected is also a big deal. And that brings us to emotional intelligence, because being able to stay connected, being able to be in an environment and coexist with other people, it is important that you are able to understand, first of all, your own emotions. Madam Christiana has done a brilliant job with emotional intelligence, so I'm not going to dwell too much. But being able to understand your own emotions and manage them, so that you can also recognize other people's emotions and then be able to influence their emotions in a positive way. Okay, so once you're able to do all the things that Madam Christiana listed in her slide, being emotionally intelligent, you are able to help your own mental health and help the mental health of other people. So some of the common conditions I mentioned about stress, how does emotional intelligence factor into stress management? First of all, when it comes to stress management, the first thing you need to do is to identify the stress. Because if you don't know that you are stressed, then you won't begin to do something about it. So being able to identify the stress in itself. So when you have that emotional intelligence, you'll be able to tell, no, I think I'm getting angry too easily. What is happening? There's something. Okay, what is this? I'm stressed. Okay, what is causing my stress? That is identifying the stressor. Okay, so that ability to be able to understand your own emotions. So I'm getting angry too easily. Why is this happening? Okay, it's because I have a chunk of things that I need to do, and this is stressing me out. Deadline is approaching and all that. The reason why the stressor is there. Okay, and once you are able to identify all these things, then now you can look at it in a bigger picture. What can I do so that I feel better? Because when I feel better, the people around me will feel better. Because imagine if the leader of the team is so stressed and snapping and shouting at everybody, the team is not going to be efficient and you're not going to be successful in whatever you have set before you. Okay, so being able to identify all these things and then come out with practical solutions. Madam Christiana spoke about writing things down. Okay, sometimes creating a list, what is important and urgent, what is important but not urgent, what is not important, and then you are able to categorize and say, okay, fine, in this little time, let's tackle this first, and then later we'll come to this and that, and then you'll be able to manage your stress. Then you evaluate the strategy. Okay, this is how I approach the situation. Did it work? If it worked, next time when we are faced with something like this, we repeat. If it didn't work, we change, and then we find another strategy. And that is how we eventually build resilience. Anxiety and depression, I mentioned that these are very, very common when we are talking about mental illnesses. And your emotional intelligence, being able to be self-aware, aware of your own mood. How am I feeling in this moment? A therapist once asked that, usually we meet people and we say, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. But when we ask people, how are you feeling? They now pause and they begin to think, because it's not something that they have brought into that consciousness, that awareness all the time. Okay, how am I feeling right now? Okay, but if we are able to become more self-aware, how we are feeling, it helps us to always be able to improve our mood. If your mood isn't good enough, you try to do things to get your mood lifted, okay? If you are emotionally intelligent, you can read the room, you can read other people's emotions, you can be in touch with your own emotions, then you are able to have a high self-esteem. You are able to maintain relationships better, because you know, well, the boss doesn't seem to be in such a good mood. Let me not go and say this thing to further make it worse, you know, and you are able to manage relationships. And when it comes to substance abuse or the abuse of drugs, being assertive. So emotional intelligence helps you to build assertiveness. And assertiveness is your ability to say no when you don't want to, yes when you can, okay? And not giving in to everything that somebody says, because most of the substance abuse starts with peer pressure. A friend introduced me. Most of the people we see in the clinic come and they say, oh, it was a friend, it was my friends, it was this, it was that. So if we are able to build that assertiveness, draw the line, know what you want and go for it, then you would be able to avoid some of these things. Okay, so very quickly, as I end, what are some of the coping skills that we don't want to go into? Procrastination. If you have a lot of work to do or something that is stressing you, sweeping it under the carpet doesn't make it go away. It will make the situation worse, okay? Trying to use drugs to relax. So I can't sleep. I'm going to buy sleeping tablets. Every day sleeping tablets. Or when I drink alcohol, it helps me sleep. When I drink alcohol, it helps me eat. Those kind of things are negative coping strategies and they are not helpful. Pulling away from friends. So you don't want to talk to anybody, you don't want to mingle and all that. It makes the situation worse, okay? You have to not eating, not sleeping, and all that, or taking out your stress on other people. They are all negative coping mechanisms. So what are some of the positive things to do? We've mentioned some earlier. Exercise. Exercise is a good way to improve your mood, okay? Skipping, walking, whatever you can do within the limited time you have. Sometimes taking a bath, it can be cold, it can be warm, whichever works for you can help. Give yourself a pep talk. Look yourself in the mirror. Say positive things to yourself, which will ginger you to move on, okay? Madam Christiana already mentioned some of the things, the meditation, the journaling, all those things help. Try to manage your time. Create a to-do list, as I said. Order your things in order of priority. And then you should ask for help. There are other people in the world for a reason, okay? You can't do everything by yourself. You may be the leader, but if you need help, ask for it so that others can help you to cope. There's no way I can talk about mental health and not mention stigma, because this is the one thing that is killing us, okay? How we view other people, okay? So we all think mental illness and we think that, no, this is unacceptable. If somebody has a mental illness, they are this, they are that, and we have all sorts of myths about mental illness. And because of that, when we ourselves are going through a certain challenge, we are afraid that other people in the society would stigmatize, they would discriminate. So I don't want them to know. I can't share with anybody. So I withdraw, I avoid help, and then the illness becomes worse, or the mental challenge becomes a mental illness, and then it becomes worse. And when my behavior becomes unusual or odd, then people start looking at me some way, and then the stigma goes round and round and round. So today, as we talk about leadership, as we talk about emotional intelligence, we have to be able to learn how to read people's emotions, how to empathize, put ourselves in the other person's shoes so that we can help them out, and then we can all move on together in wellness. Because if all the people around you are mentally well, they are happy, it rubs off on you as well. Okay, so how then do you help others? Madam Christiana spoke about some of the things: active listening, being able to listen to people without judging them. And when we are talking about listening, it's not just you are in the room, it's actually listening and paying attention to everything they are saying, the tone in which they are saying it, their facial expressions as they are saying it, and all that. Spend time with other people and learn to maintain some level of confidentiality. Somebody is telling you something, they didn't tell you to announce it on Peace FM. Try and keep it to yourself so that the person can trust you, and then you can be of help to this person. And remember that when you do that for somebody, there is this concept as leaders. I'm sure most of you are aware of the concept of emotional banking. So as you do this for others, you are depositing positive things in that emotional bank account. And remember, tomorrow you may be in that state of struggle, that state of emotional need, and you may be able to withdraw from that same emotional bank account. So please, let's be mindful of those things. If someone talks to you or they mention that they want to harm themselves, or they are thinking nowadays, they keep having this thought, I wish I were dead, or I'm better off dead than alive. That is where the confidentiality breaks. Let the person be aware that for this, I think that we need to talk to somebody else. We need to get you professional help, and so that you'll be able to come out of this state. Okay. And then in as much as you can help, you know that your support is limited. So you can be a very supportive friend and make a great difference, but as a professional can actually treat and manage the person's illness. So once you hit your limits, please move the person on. So I think this is about my last but one slide. So treatment for mental illness exists. There is treatment. Treatment is possible, especially for the mood disorders that I spoke about, the anxiety, the what do you call it, the depression, the chronic stress. People can be treated, actually. So it is important that we seek help. Okay, it is important that we help others to also seek help, and we support each other so that we can achieve the treatment. So this is something that I like. I saw online. It says by Dolly Parton. It says, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. Okay, so that tomorrow when you are without a smile, they would in turn give you one of theirs. So mental health is the new wealth. As we seek success, as we strive on, move on as leaders, let us safeguard our mental health, and then we would be able to achieve our full potential. The mental health helpline I have displayed on the screen, 0800 678 678. This is a toll-free line by the Mental Health Authority. There are professionals behind this line who are willing to help. If you have a challenge, you want to talk to somebody, you don't even know what is happening to me, could it be a mental illness? Just call this line, seek help, and then they will direct you to the right places. So to conclude, we have spoken about mental health, and I have said that it is essential. It plays a very vital role in our individual and collective ability as humans to be able to contribute meaningfully to society. It is important that we promote and protect our mental health, and being emotionally intelligent is very useful in safeguarding our mental well-being. Thank you very much for listening.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you very much, Doc. In fact, we are so grateful for today's exposition. This is so detail oriented, and I believe your slides will also be available for all of us so that we can, from time to time, go through it. We have a couple of questions for you and Madam Christiana. The questions keep trooping in, so um I'll be bringing them out so that you and Madam Christiana can digest the questions for us. Please, I want to ask a question. In fact, when you were displaying your slides, I came across some symptoms, signs and symptoms, which a little scared me. I want to find out that the signs you just listed or the symptoms you just listed, it looks like it happens to be an everyday thing. It's a normal signs or symptoms that we experience in our everyday life. Does it mean that um, we are not aware that, like, as in the list, or if it's not well taken care of, we are on our way to, excuse me, should I say mental illness or madness? Does it really mean that we are on our way to madness or mental illness? Because looking at the signs displayed, is something that often happens. It often happens in our everyday life. Is it kind of, like, let's say, mild mental illness, if I should put it that way? And can we classify it under that category? And also, I want to ask about mood swings. Most of the ladies, it's known that ladies have mood swings, and I want to know if mood swings can also be considered mental illness. I want to find out. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So yes, the signs and symptoms that I mentioned, I am sure that almost everyone on the call may identify with one or some of these symptoms. The truth of the matter is that the fact that probably you can't sleep today or for a week, maybe because you have an interview coming or you have an exam coming and all that, doesn't necessarily mean that you have a mental illness. And again, yes, we prefer mental illness. We don't like the other word. Yes. So having these symptoms, especially if it is in isolation, may not necessarily point to a mental illness. But once somebody begins to have a group of these symptoms consistently, so for example, when we take an illness, mental illness like depression, if somebody has a mixture of low mood, low energy, lack of pleasure or motivation to do things, the person is having sleep challenges, eating challenges, and this is consistently persistent for about 2 weeks or more, then we can begin to think about depression. So these are things that happen to us and sometimes we overlook. But as it gets worse by the day, then we have to start considering the fact that no, I may need to pause and take some time off, try to look at things again and get back my mental health. Because sometimes you realize that you are going to work, you are doing a lot of work, but you're not even achieving a lot, okay, because of maybe the challenges with concentration, because of some other factors, worries that are going on. And if that is not checked, then it may lead to a mental illness or something else. Yes, and then the other one about mood swings. Yes, so women do have some mood swings, which most of the time it's men that ask these questions. But yes, that happens, and most of the time it has to do with the woman's cycle. So there are hormonal changes that can lead to a a woman or a lady having some changes or swings in their mood. That is not much of a problem. As I said, again, once you are emotionally intelligent, if you have a girlfriend, you have a wife, you have a mother, you have a sister, once you are emotionally intelligent and you are able to read the situation in the times that it is happening, then you are able to navigate. Everything is fine. When mood swings become a challenge, when we are talking about severe swings in mood or severe changes in a person's mood, then we are looking at mental illnesses like bipolar disorder, where at different times a person can have symptoms of depression or the low mood end of the spectrum. And at other times, the person can have symptoms of elation, extreme happiness, extreme energy, taking a lot of risks, the life of the party, all over the place kind of person. So when it is extreme and it is causing challenges in the person's functioning and it is also causing distress, then it has become a mental illness. But we all do go through a few mood swings here and there, which we won't consider abnormal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you so much. Please, those of us online, please, you can keep your questions coming. If you want to ask a question too, you can draw our attention, send me a reaction, then the floor will be open for you. But Madam Christiana, please, I've got some questions a couple of people have sent. I'll read them out so that you can help us out. The first question is, how best can a leader manage emotions when he is supposed to be a model or a role model? And
Okay.
won't that portray him or her as weakening? And the second question is, how will I get to know about one's weaknesses and help him or her out? The third one is, how do you balance leadership and emotional intelligence? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Delali. Did I pronounce that well?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I will take the question one after the other. I'm not sure I can recall the second two, but I'll begin from the first, which is, how can a leader understand their emotions, if I am correct?
Yes, how best can a leader manage emotions when he's supposed to be a role model? Won't that portray the leader as weak?
Okay, so please continue.
Yeah, that's the first question, please.
Okay, so when it comes to managing your emotions, or when it comes to, there's a difference between emotional intelligence and showing emotions. As humans, we are emotional beings. And I want to thank Dr. Josephine, I hope I pronounced that well, for the amazing work that she has done to our presentation. You cannot separate emotions from your anatomy as human. So emotional intelligence is you understanding your emotions, patterns that you have created when it surrounds your expressing your emotions, and how those patterns filter into the workspace. You can be a soft-spoken leader and command presence and authority. You can be an aggressive leader and still not earn the trust of people. So you need to understand your personality. Towards the end of my presentation, I mentioned personality in brief, but I didn't give details. There are so many online personality assessments. There was a time that I shared a post that one of the things that helped me so much in my career or in building my career development was taking personality tests. And I've had the privilege of being interviewed in organizations where the first thing that I'm struck with, even before the interview process, is to take a personality test. So go on Google and just type personality test. The the personality test that resonates with me the most is still the Myers-Briggs personality test. It is MBTI. So you can search for it and take that. What this will help you do is understand your personality, and personality is a broad term because there are a lot of things that is in sync when it comes to your personality type, which your emotions is part of it. It will even help you understand, where you can fit in when it comes to the world of work. If you are in a workspace that you do not like, but you don't know how to change, and you as an adult, you want to make money because you have bills to pay. So a personality test will help you answer that question. But you being a leader does not separate you from being an emotional being or an emotional individual. What you need to understand are the patterns, your emotional patterns. If you get angry easily, what are the things that triggers you, that makes you easily angered? How can you manage them? Is it the things that people say or they do or they do not do? So how can you manage them? It's a work that you need to do on your own. You may even need to see a professional, just like doctor has mentioned. You may need to see a professional, maybe not a mental health professional, maybe a coach that can help you put perspective on this. What are the things that gets you angry? Is it because people around you are sluggish when you give them a task, or they do not deliver on time? So these are some of the questions that you need to address. But that you are aggressive does not make you a good leader. You can be soft-spoken and still be a good leader. So I will take the second question now.
All right. Thank you very much. Please, the second question.
Please, can you read out the second question again?
Yeah, sure. I'm doing that right away. All right. So the second question says, how will I get to know about one's weakness and help him or her out? How would I get to know about one's weaknesses and help him or her out?
Okay, if it is you as an individual that wants to understand your weakness, I will encourage you to engage in self-reflection. I mentioned that during my presentation. Have a moment where you will sit and pick one scenario, begin from the most recent, one scenario that happened to you that week, and how that resonates with you, or how that strikes with you. You can now move further to also pick a particular pattern that you have observed in your life. Let's take, for example, let's say when you get to social gatherings, you freeze. It's not because you don't know what to say. Maybe just being around so many people, it makes you anxious. It makes you uncomfortable. It can be a strength in itself. It can be a weakness in itself, because in that gathering, you would have loved to network, connect with people, and make connections, build connections, but you freeze, or you experience social anxiety. So you begin to ask yourself questions. What has led you to that place? I'm speaking as a therapist now. What has led you to that space? Is there an experience you had in the past? Does it have to do with your childhood experiences? Dig deep into the root cause or the root causes of that weakness. Again, some weaknesses do not even have a root cause. It is still tied to your personality. If you are a sanguine, for example, if that is your personality type, let's say it's the predominant personality type, because usually we have a primary and secondary. If you are sanguine, you are the life of the party, you are expressive, you love to talk. Sometimes you can talk when you're not supposed to. The atmosphere is tense. Someone could be worried, but you just want to downplay it, and that is just who you are. So it could also be tied to your personality. What you now need to understand is, first, your personality. So what are the strengths that you have in your personality that you can push forward? Invest much more in the strength in your own personality. If you are a melancholy, for example, like myself, what are those strengths that you have when it is tied to your personality type? Invest, grow those strengths, build those strengths, exercise those strengths much more, and you'll see that there will be a balance. It's not like your weaknesses will not still show up in some certain situations or circumstances of life, but your strength would help you balance your weaknesses, meaning that, well, if people can see your weaknesses once in a while, they still know that these are your area of strength. What I'm saying in total is that nobody can be perfect, but those area of strength that you have, you can build them and leverage on them. So I will take the third question now.
All right, please. Thank you. How do you balance leadership and emotional intelligence? How do you balance leadership and emotional intelligence?
That is a very good question. Communication. Communicate. So communication is not just about saying things. Communication is, a two-way interaction. What you are saying to the people you are leading, talking about being a leader now, do they understand? Can they decode what you are saying? Does it even, align with their values? Communicate what you want, communicate your thoughts, communicate your values. People will not sleep and wake up one morning and begin to understand that this is who you are as a leader, or this is how you want to function. In fact, when you want to communicate, or when you have to communicate, sometimes you have to use documentation, where there is a blueprint written down that will serve as a guide for people. Again, be authentic when you are a leader. Do not say something and you mean something else, or do not say something and do something else. If you are a leader and you give certain rules and certain guidelines that you want the people that follow you to imbibe, if you're doing something that is in conflict with what you are saying, you are not emotionally intelligent, because what you are trying to do in that sphere is to impact people, but you are impacting them negatively because you have said something and you're doing something contrary to what you have said. Values can also change. If your value at some point in time was communicated to members of your team and your values have changed, because as humans we evolve, we grow, communicate again to them, give them reasons why those values have changed, or those values have been modified, or that value has been modified. You can be emotionally intelligent individuals form great leaders, because you say what you mean, you do what you say, and you also, like Doctor mentioned, you also lead people by reading the room. You don't lead people like robots. You lead them like humans, or you lead them as humans that they are, and you also give them room to grow and develop under your leadership.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. Please, the last question. It says, how do I deal with my emotions when they are affecting my development? How do I deal with my emotions when they are affecting my development? Thank you.
Is that question for me, Mr.?
Yes, it's for you.
Okay. The question is ambiguous. It's not that deep. But when we're talking about dealing with your emotions generally, if it's affecting your development, if you have been through a traumatic experience, for example, I teach people about transgenerational trauma, impact of trauma. That can affect you because you are stuck in the time where you had that traumatic experience. And when I say you're stuck, I don't mean physically, because you're growing physically, but mentally, psychologically, you're stuck in that place because the brain has not yet developed a lot of capacity. So if the question is, there is no negative or positive emotions, but if the question is the emotions that you express or you display from time to time, if it sabotages your growth, then you may need to seek professional help. Maybe speak to a psychiatrist, speak to a psychotherapist, speak to a counselor, whichever level, as long as that person is a mental professional, whichever level of professionalism you're willing to begin with, that professional will help you to understand first off, that is important, then address why you are stuck with this pattern of emotions or this type of emotions at a point in time. Let's say you are someone that gets angry easily, and in the moment when you are angered, when something has or someone has stepped on your toes, you can't control yourself, then you may need to seek help. Why do you react like that when you are faced with situations like that? Why do you even speak in such a manner? You need to address that as well. And there are underlying causes to reasons why you act that way, or to the reason why you act that way. You may need to seek professional help and see why you are stuck with this pattern of emotions. So everything, still ties down to working on the root cause or root causes of who we are.
Wow, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Please, who has any question? Those of us online. These nuggets of wisdom will not get them anywhere. In fact, people are paying for all this. So if you have any concerns, and we have our doctor and our madam here, they can help you with your concerns and your questions. So please, is anyone having any concerns?
Mr. Delali.
Yes, madam.
Yes, I just wanted to add on a little to what Madam Christiana said in response to the question somebody asked about how to know the weaknesses of your team or your as a leader, how to know the weaknesses of the people you're working with, so that you can help them. So
All
I
right.
just wanted to touch a bit on that. So what I would say is that the first thing you need to do is to observe. You need to observe the people you are working with. As you're working with them, as you give them tasks, things to do here and there, observe how they go about it, what they are able to do, what they are not able to do. That is one way that you would know. Also, as a leader, all the things that Madam Christiana talked about, your ability to communicate actively, your ability to allow people to express themselves would help you to know the personality of other people, apart from knowing your own personality, and you would be able to pick up on some of these strengths and weaknesses and know how to channel their strengths to help the progress of the entire team. And sometimes, to frankly, just ask them. Some people may know and they may share with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Please, the floor is open for those who have been invited. All right. So if there are no more questions, we'll leave the rest to our director to take over. Mr. Prosper. Is Mr. Prosper on the line? Hello, Mr. Prosper. I think Mr. Prosper is having some challenges with his network. Hello, Mr. Prosper. Okay, before Mr. Prosper connects with us.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
All right, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I want. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Please, we can hear you loud and clear. Hello, Mr. Prosper.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, please, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, that's fine. So I want to add to the second question.
Hello, Mr. Prosper.
Yes. Yeah, can you hear me, please?
It looks like you are joining from two devices, so we can hear you. Hello, Mr. Prosper. All right, so before Mr. Prosper comes in,
Yeah, hello.
yeah, Mr. Prosper.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Yeah, yes, it's okay.
Yeah, I was listening from YouTube, so I was getting it all confused. So I want to add to the second question. That's the third question, actually. How do you balance leadership and emotional intelligence? Most of the times I say that leadership is an act of parenting. And before one can become a very good leader, one must understand the principles of parenting or parenthood. We know that as a parent, you encourage your children when they need that emotional support, and you discipline them when they are getting things wrong. So for a leader to become a very good or a great leader, you must understand when to discipline your team members and when to come in for them or support them emotionally. And how do you support them emotionally? For instance, let's say you've tasked someone to do a thing and they are getting it all wrong. You don't criticize them in public or you don't condemn them instantly. You observe and, if possibly, caution them in secret, but praise them in public. By doing so, they will understand that you care for their emotions and yet you are helping them build on capacities. So once your team members get to understand that you care more about their reverence, their development, more than your personal interest, they begin to do more even when you don't ask them. So that is how, as a leader, you must balance leadership with emotional intelligence. And I end this by saying, Machiavelli once said that leadership is not pure. One must become a lion, and the same person must become the sheep. So the lion stands to guide the team members, and the sheep tends to become the mixed side that pampers the team members or their followers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prosper, Executive Director for Youth Africa. On this note, we want to thank all of you for joining us for this conference. And I believe so strongly that we've all learned one or two things that we hope that what we've learned will put it into practice. Our emotional intelligence is so much as important to our leadership style, which is going to drive the change that is needed for us to affect our society positively. And so as we draw down the curtains on this conference, all that I want to say is let us go out there and practice what we have learned. In fact, for us to have our guests who are well prepared and looking at their portfolio, we can all attest to the fact that they've reached a very high status. And it is all because of their leadership style and emotional intelligence and unique qualities they've put in place to get to that level. And today we are all benefiting from them. And so I want to encourage all of us, most especially with the youth, that we should be well informed as we have been informed and go out there and put into practice what we have learned. And I as well want to thank the Executive Director, Mr. Prosper, for bringing all of us under this unique conference to learn for free. This is for free. And I also want to thank Miss Christiana as well for availing herself and giving us all these important details concerning our emotional intelligence. And I want to thank Dr. Mrs. as well for also availing herself to help us understand our mental health. So we want to thank you so much, and we are so grateful, and we hope that in some months and years to come, we'll have you again to throw more insights on our health and emotional intelligence and leadership skills. So on this note, thank you all once again, and we would like to see you another time. God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right, please, before we draw the curtains, I want us to give us a reaction, all of us to give us a reaction. Let's appreciate our guest speakers for the invaluable insights that they've shared with us. Oh, I want to see your reactions popping up on the screen. Yes, I want to see your reaction. And yes. Oh, keep it coming. We actually screenshotting it. So hold on a minute, I'm coming. When I say go, then we tab on it. All right, let's go. Yes. God bless you all. And Mrs. Christiana Bosede, Dr. Styles, Josephine Daku. We say God bless you very much for your time. Even you spend about 2 hours. It's not a joke. Thank you. And to our participants, we also say God bless you for making the time to join. We can't thank you enough. All we can say is that God bless you. Bye-bye.